Hello friends, my name is Jitesh Kumar Bhatia and I am working as PGT Computer Science in Kendriya Vidyalaya Jawaharnagar. My contact detail is jitesh.bhatia80@gmail.com. Today I will be continuing my previous videos, and in the previous video I completed up to page number 8 and today onwards I will be continuing from page number 9. So we were doing our predicting the output part question, and in the previous 4 parts we had done these 4 questions. The very first one was related to having an infinite loop, then a loop which ends after 5 iterations. Then we were having 2 variables and the values were being changed dynamically, and a for loop was given whose output was to be predicted. Now coming to the 5th part, which is for x in hello, print x. So you can see that we are not using range here, but here hello itself is an iterable. It is a string and it is a combination of characters. So every time the loop gets executed, a character is taken from this particular string and is given to the variable x, and every time we are having this, we have to print the value of x. So for the very first time, what it will be doing, it will be taking h in x, and then the value of x will be printed, which would be h. In the second case, when the second iteration begins, e will be assigned to x and then e will be printed. So we can see that e is going to be printed here, then followed by l, followed by l, and followed by o. So it will be getting executed 5 times, and every time the loop gets executed, one character, which is the next character as well, would be assigned to x, and that value would be printed. So we will be having the output as HELLO. So again, one thing more, that you can see that every time it is printing in the new line, because every time print statement is completed, the control moves to the new line only. This is the example which says that we are only printing the value of x. However, we can change the value of x as well while working on the iteration. It means we can perform some operation on it as well, like in the next example. So this question says, for x in hello, we have to print the value of x dot upper. So what upper does? Upper actually converts the character into uppercase. So that uppercase value will be getting printed. So you can see that this question and the previous question are same to most of the extent, but we have to print the uppercase value of the variable of the value of the character. So the output would be capital H, followed by capital E, followed by capital L, followed by capital L, and at last we will be having capital O. Coming to the next part, we are having again an iterable which is stored in x. This square bracket part is actually used when we are working with list. So we are having a list which is storing multiple values, say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These values can be anything, and we are storing it in a variable x. So what x is? X is a list variable, and because it is storing multiple values, so it is actually called an iterable. We are having for I in range 0, 5. It means that the range would be giving you the values from 0 to 4. 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Because I told you earlier as well that this 5 value, this last value is not included, and every time the increment is of 1 only by default. So I would be taking 0 first, then I would be taking 1, then I would be taking 2, then I would be taking 3, then I would be taking 4. Now see that what inside this for loop, what we are doing, we are saying if the value of xi is 4, xi, this I is actually working as an index. So when we are talking about x0 means 1, x0 means 1, and x1 means 2, x2 means 3, x3 means 4, and x4 means 5. So every time we are having the change in index, we are having the change in value. So if the value of xi is 4, we have to continue, And I suppose you remember what continue does. Continue actually skips the next statements inside the loop and moves to the new iteration. So what it would be doing, at the very first attempt, the I would be 0, and when the I would be 0, then x0 is 1. Because x0 double equal to 4 is false, so this continue will not be getting executed, and it would be printing x0 value. x0 value is 1. So you can see that 1 gets printed. Then the next iteration, I becomes 1, because x1 is 2. x1 is double equal to 4 is false, so this condition becomes false, so continue will not get executed, and it would be printing the value of x1. x1 is 2, so 2 gets printed. Coming to the next part, next iteration, this I would be taking 2, and x2 is 3, x2 double equal to 4 is false, so continue will not get executed, and it would be printing x2 is 3, so 3 gets printed. Coming to the next iteration, I becomes 3, and in this case x3 double equal to 4 is true, because x3 is 4. Because this is true, so continue will get executed, and what continue does, it skips the next coming statements. So this particular statement will not get executed and nothing will be printed, and it moves to the next iteration. So I becomes 4, and x4 is 5. 5 double equal to 4 is not true, it means it's false, so continue will not get executed, and it would be printing x4, and the value of x4 is 5. And after this particular loop will be completed, and it will be moved out of the loop, and there is nothing out of the loop. The program ends here, so there would be nothing printed after this. So the output would be 1, 2, 3 and 5 in different lines, of course. Coming to the same thing, but now we are actually using the next jump statement, which would be break. So you can see it is a list x, and it is storing 5 values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I hope you have understood till now that x0 is 1, x1 is 2, x2 is 3, x3 is 4, and x4 is 5. For I in range 0, 5, it means it would be taking the values of I from 0 to 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and if the value of xi is 4, we have to break. What a break does? Break moves the control out of the loop. It means it would not be executing the next iteration, it would not be executing the remaining statements, but it would be moving the control out of the loop. So when the value of I is 0, when the loop executes, when the value of I is 0, x0 is 1. Because x0 double equal to 4 is not true, so break is not getting executed, and it would be printing x0. x0 is 1, so 1 gets executed, followed by the value of I becomes 1. Because x1 is equal to 4 is again not true, because it is 2, so it is false. x1 is 2 double equal to 4 is false, so break will not get executed, and it would be printing x1 would be 2. Again the value of I would be 2, so x2 is 3 double equal to 4 is false, so break will not get executed, and x2 gets printed, which is 3. Then the I becomes 3, and x3 double equal to 4 is true, because x3 is 4, and as soon as this condition becomes true, break will get executed. And what does break do? Break takes the control out of the loop, and we move out of the loop, and as soon as we move out of the loop, there is nothing written outside the loop, so the program ends here, and we are left out with the output 1, 2 and 3 in different lines, of course. Coming to the next question, we have x equal to a string which is comma separated values. So you can see that I have taken 4 fruit names: apple, mango, grapes, orange. It can be anything. So apple, mango, grapes, orange. This is a string separated by comma, and what I'm doing, I'm actually splitting the value of x by comma. So where the comma is found out, the string is split. So string would be split from here, then from here, then from here. So we will be getting 1, 2, 3 and 4 strings, and that will be storing it in a list, and that list is actually stored in y. So y is a list then, and I told you that list is an iterable. So y contains 4 string values: apple, mango, grapes and orange. Now we are having y as an iterable, so no need of range here. But when we are writing for I in y, print I, it means the value of y one by one will be stored in I, and that I value would be printed. So the very first value is apple, so apple gets printed. The next value is mango, mango gets printed. The next value is grapes, grapes get printed, and the next value is orange, orange gets printed. So we would be getting the output as apple, mango, grapes and orange. And as soon as the 4 times loop gets executed, we move out of the loop and there is nothing outside the loop, the program ends here. So these kinds of output you can see in your examinations. This is an important question, and this important question is exactly related to CBSE only. So you can see, before telling you this question, I would like to tell you one thing, that what name 0 means. Name is a variable, it is a string variable, and name 0 means the very first character of that particular value, right? So name is a variable storing some string, and what name 0 means? Name 0 means the 0th index character. 0th index character means the very first character of the value stored in the variable name, right? And again, one more thing I would like to tell, that this else is related to this for. This for and else are related to each other, because when for gets executed completely, it would be executing else. When for is executed completely, it would be executing else. And if for does not get completed, it would not execute else. It means if you are coming out of the loop because the condition is completed, we will be executing else. And if you are coming out of the loop by using break statement, the condition is still true, but you are coming out, so it will not be executing else. I repeat, if you are coming out after completing all the iterations, else would be executed. But if you are coming out by using break, then in that case, because the condition is true, else will not get executed. And this print got it is outside the loop, it would definitely get executed, because it is outside the loop. It does not matter whether the loop condition is true or false. As soon as it comes out of the loop, either by break statement or by completing the loop, it would be moving the control here only, and here this particular statement will get executed. So you can see we have an iterable which stores multiple values. These are 1, 2, 3, 4 names: Jayesh, Ramya, Taruna and Suraj. So these are all in single quotes, and these single quotes states that these values are strings. And because the screen size is smaller, so you cannot see that this opening bracket has a closing bracket after this as well. So we are having, I assume that you know that there would be a closing bracket here. So for name in this iterable, it means these values will be initialized, will be assigned to the name variable one by one. In the very first iteration, Jayesh will be assigned to name. In the second iteration, Ramya will be assigned to name. In the third iteration, Taruna would be assigned to name, and so on. As soon as you are entering the loop, you have to print the value of name. So the very first thing is that whatever value is assigned to name, that would be printed. Followed by, if the first character is T, capital T of course, you have to break. Break means you have to come out of the loop. And what does this else says? If all the iterations are completed and you are moving out of the loop, not by break statement, then in that case you have to print finished, and got it is to be printed at last. So see, we can see that very first time JS gets stored in the name variable, and we are printing name, so JS gets printed, as easy as that. Then because name 0 is not T, because name 0 is J here, the very first character of JS is J. J double equal to T is false, right? So break is not getting executed. Coming to the next iteration, Ramya is stored in name variable, so we are printing the name variable value, so Ramya gets printed. Now again name 0 double equal to T is false, because name 0 is capital R. Capital R double equal to T is false, so break does not get executed, and we are moved to the next iteration. Then Taruna is assigned to name variable, and we are printing the name value, which is Taruna. Now name 0 is capital T, and capital T double equal to capital T is true. Because these are true, hence we are actually executing break. And what does break do? Break moves us out of the loop. So break would be moving outside the loop, and it would not be executing the else part of for loop, so it would be moving directly to got it. So got it gets printed, and we get the output like this. I'm sorry, I've written finished as well. Finish would not get printed, it would be printing got it. So this finished will not get printed, because else only gets printed, only gets executed when this particular condition is false. Because this condition is not false, so else will not get executed, and finish will not get printed. So in this answer I have written finished, but this finished will not get executed, and the output would be JS, Ramya, Taruna, and got it. Finish will not get executed. I have written this so that I should tell you that this is the order which is to be printed, and finished is not to be printed. I repeat again. Coming to the next question, which are membership. What are membership operators in Python? Now the output part is completed. We are left out with our concept part again. We have what are membership operators in Python. So there are two membership operators, namely in and not in. In returns true if the value is a part of another value, and false otherwise. Not in returns true if the value is not a part of another value, false otherwise. Like this example would be clarifying all these things. Like if I am writing print A in AEIOU, so A is present in AEIOU, and it is also saying A in AEIOU, so it would be printing true. Print 5 in list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because 5 is present in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so this particular statement is true, and it would be printing true. Again 7 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7 is not present in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it is saying that 7 is present in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is telling you a false statement. So false gets printed. In the same manner, X in AEIOU. X in AEIOU. What does it mean? It means that it is telling you that X is present in AEIOU. However, X is not present in AEIOU. So this particular string. So it would be printing false. Coming to not in. We are writing A not in AEIOU. So you can see that A is present in AEIOU, but this statement is saying that A not in AEIOU. So it would be printing false, because it is telling you a wrong statement. 5 not in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again 5 is a value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is an iterable. 5 is not in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is false, so false will get printed. Similarly, 7 not in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is telling you a true statement, because 7 is actually not present in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it would be printing true. And then at last, X not in AEIOU, actually X is not present in AEIOU, so it is telling you a true statement, and true gets printed. So by these 8 examples you can easily show the use of in and not in operator. Next question, which is what are lists in Python? How is an empty list created in Python? This particular question is very important. It may become as a 1 mark question in the very first part, and it can come in 2 mark question as a complete part. And these can be separate questions of 1 mark each. So you have to not learn anything, you have to tell that what everything you know about a list. So I know 4 things about a list, so I have written 4 things. A list is a mutable data structure in Python. The very first thing. It can store a sequence of values belonging to any data type. It means it can store multiple values, like you can see in this example that many values are there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values are there, and of other and of integer as well as string data type. So it can be of any data type. So multiple kinds of data types can be stored in a single list. So we say that it is a heterogeneous data structure. Lists are written inside square brackets. You can see that square brackets are used here. Square brackets are used here. So lists are always written inside square brackets. And the index of first element in list is 0. So index of first element is 0. Then the index of second element is 1. Then the index of third element is 2. The index of fourth element is 3. And index of fifth element is 4. So these are the things that you actually know. So 4 things you know. You have told about these things in your answer. And an example is must. So you are writing here x equal to within square brackets any values of any data type. Everything is correct. Then the second part of the question, how is an empty list created in Python? There are actually 2 ways of creating an empty list. You can write any of them. So an empty list can be created using 2 ways. Either you declare it like this, that there is a list because square brackets are used and there is nothing inside it. It means it is an empty list. Also you have an inbuilt function list which does not take any argument, and that also returns an empty list. So A and B both are empty lists. You can use any of the way to create an empty list. The similar question related to tuple. How can you convert a tuple into list? If you are having a tuple, what is a tuple? Tuple is an immutable data type. You can see that list is mutable data type, data structure or data type. If you are having a tuple and you want to convert it into a list, you can convert it by using a list function. List function, when you are not passing any argument, it was returning you an empty list. But if you are passing an argument, it will be returning you a list with those values. So you can see that this particular statement says that A is a tuple. How can you say that A is a tuple? Because A is written inside braces, comma separated values. And you are writing B equal to list within bracket A. What does this mean? This means that whatever values are present in A, I want all those values in a list. And that list is to be stored in variable B. So B is a list that would be storing all those values which were present in the tuple A. Now when you are printing B, it would be printing like this. It would be printing like a list with square brackets, but the values would be same that were in the tuple. Now the question says, what is a tuple? How can you create an empty tuple? The same question that was asked for a list, the same question we are asking for a tuple now. So what is a tuple? How can you create an empty tuple? The both parts are same. So when you have different sets of examinations, then in that case, basically you actually get one question in one set and the other question in the other set. So what is a tuple? A tuple is an immutable data type in Python. It can store multiple values separated by comma, the same thing. All values can be of any data type, means multiple data types are allowed. It means it is also a heterogeneous data structure. And a tuple is written inside braces. So these are 4 points that I know. And one more point, which is the index of first element of a tuple is 0. The next element would be having index 1. The next element would be having index 2 and so on. And when we are writing example says we have to use braces, and these braces contains the values, comma separated values, and so you can see that X is a tuple now. The second part, how can you create an empty tuple? Please make sure that empty tuple cannot be created by writing only braces, which does not have any value. So we are left out with only a single way of creating an empty tuple. An empty tuple can be created using inbuilt function tuple. So we have a method called tuple. We have an inbuilt function called tuple, and when we are writing y equal to tuple, y would be having the data type as tuple, but it would not be having any value. So only a single value to create an empty tuple. Now we came across two things, which was mutable and immutable. So when one very prominent question is regarding the differentiation between them. So the question number 18 says differentiate between mutable and immutable data types. So mutable, M for mutable and M for modifiable. So if you are remembering like this, you will never get confused. So mutable data types contain the values that can be changed or modified. So you can see that mutable also starts with capital M, and modified also starts with M. So you can associate these first character. So you will never get confused, and mutable is related to modified. It means mutable data types contain the values that can be changed or modified. For example, list is a mutable data type. It means you can change the value inside a list, right? Immutable data type contains the value that cannot be changed or modified. For example, tuple is an immutable data type, and strings are immutable data type. It means you cannot change the value inside a tuple. You cannot change a value inside a tuple means whatever value you have written inside a tuple, that value will remain so throughout the program, and nothing can be changed inside that, right? Strings as well. Strings are also immutable data type. We will be coming as a separate section in strings, and how they are immutable we will be telling that as well. We also have a data structure called dictionary. So the next question says what is a dictionary, and what is a dictionary? Dictionary is a data structure which stores values in the form of key value pairs. It means we don't have any index called 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have to specify our own index, and those index are known as keys. And the value what we are having that are associated with those keys, right? So again, I don't have to cram anything. I will be telling you only 5 things that I know about dictionary. A dictionary is a data structure which stores values in the form of key value pairs. Here key is associated with a value. Key is the index for each value. I told you. Keys are immutable, whereas values are mutable. It means you cannot change the key, but you can change the value associated with key. Like you can see that name is a key here, and Sachin Tendulkar is a value here. So you can change the value of name variable. Means name is a key and Sachin Tendulkar is a value. You can change Sachin Tendulkar to MS Dhoni or any other player, whatever. But you cannot change this particular key. That key will always remain name only. Keys are unique. It means name has been specified once. It cannot be given again in the same dictionary. Dictionary is written inside curly braces. It means you have to use curly braces start and curly braces end to start and end the dictionary respectively. Like for example, you are writing D equal to within curly braces double quotes name colon double quotes whatever value you want to give. Like I have given Sachin Tendulkar comma double quotes age. This is a key colon. Because I am imparting an integer value, so no double quotes are used and I am giving the value as 42. So when I am printing D name means whatever the value associated with the name key in the dictionary D. So it would be printing Sachin Tendulkar. And if I am writing print D age, so what is the value of age key inside the dictionary D? So it would be printing 42. So these are the things that you have to know about dictionary. Now comes a very important part which actually you will be getting in each and every examination, and that question is what is recursion? Give example. Recursion is a process, and what that process says? That process says that you have to create a function and that function should call itself. When we are calling a function inside the same function, then in that case it is known as a recursive program and that process is known as recursion. So what a recursion says, what we have to write like this: recursion is a process in which a function calls itself. Such functions are known as recursive function, right? For example, if you are asked what is the value of factorial 10, if you ask me what is the value of factorial 10, what I would be telling you? I would be telling you, you tell me the factorial of 9 and I would be telling you the factorial of 10. because I have to just multiply it, the value that you are specifying with me as factorial 9. I would be multiplying it by 10 and then I would be telling you the answer. So factorial is actually a recursive function. So you can see that def is a keyword that we actually write every time we are creating a user defined function. This fact is the name of the function. This is the value that we are passing for which we want to find the factorial, and we know one thing, that the factorial of 0 is 1. So what we are writing, if the value of n is 0, then we have to return the value 1. This is known concept. So this is also known as stopping condition, because here we are not calling this function again, but else means if this condition is not true, then in that case what we have to return? We have to return the value n multiplied by factorial of n minus 1. Means you first calculate the factorial of one number less than the entered number, and then we have to multiply that value with that particular number, and we will be getting the answer of factorial. Like for example, if you want to find the value of factorial 10, then what factorial 10 would be doing? Because n is not equal to 0, so it will be moving to else part, and it would be telling you that you have to return 10 multiplied by factorial 9. So I hope you understand this thing. This is the same example that I told you while starting this example. Then we have what are user defined functions. Give example. So a user defined function is a function defined by the programmer for his or her use in the program. So what user defined function says? User defined function is a function that is defined by a programmer. Means programmer is defining by himself or herself for the use in the program. When you are actually writing a program for this, when you want to write a function, what you have to use? You have to use a keyword called def, then followed by the function name, followed by the list of parameters inside brackets, followed by a colon, and indented part would be the block of code that would be executing when this function is called. For example, if I am creating a function called addition, so def is a keyword, addition is the function name, a and b are the values that I want to specify, that whose addition I want to find out, and result is a variable that is storing the addition of a and b, and the result is being returned. So this is a function, and I suppose that you know now that how to create a function, right? And one last question, which keyword is used to define a user defined function? So I suppose you have understood this thing, that this def keyword is every time used when we are defining a function, then so the answer would be def. So I hope you understood the concepts. I will be continuing my video again in the next upload, and thank you for listening. And whenever you have any confusion, you can contact me at my contact ID, which is jitesh.bhatia80@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.